What Japanese ski resort receives 15 to 17 meters of snow annually, offers what might be the best tree skiing in Japan, and sits just 90 minutes from Sapporo without the international crowds of Niseko? Kiroro Snow World manages to combine serious Hokkaido powder with manageable crowds and access to incredible terrain. I'm based in Australia, where I regularly ride Falls Creek and Hotham, and I try to get north at least once per season to get in some real skiing and snowboarding. On a recent trip to Hokkaido, I found myself making the drive from Sapporo to explore what Kiroro could offer compared to the busier resorts in the region. Having experienced everything in Australia to Utah Lake Tahoe and Europe, I was particularly curious about Kiroro's reputation for tree riding and whether it lived up to the hype. In this review, I'll give you my honest take on Kiroro based on my actual day visit during a 25 centimeter overnight powder dump. We'll cover how the terrain actually rides, the lift system reality, pricing breakdown, and whether this resort deserves a spot on your Hokkaido itinerary. I'll also share practical details about the drive from Sapporo, equipment rental experience, and how Kiroro fits into the broader Japanese ski scene. Before we dive in, hit that like button if you're planning a Japan powder trip, drop a comment if you've tackled Kiroro's trees, and subscribe for more honest resort reviews from someone who's actually been there. My day at Kiroro started with a 7 a.m. departure from Sapporo, driving through snow-covered mountains that reminded me exactly why Hokkaido is such a special place to ride. The question was whether this resort would live up to its powder reputation. Kiroro operates across 660 meters of vertical drop, with the base sitting at 520 meters and climbing to 1,180 meters at the summit. The resort spreads across twin mountains, Asari and Nagamine, with 23 courses that feel more substantial than many Japanese resorts. What struck me immediately during my visit was how the valley location creates a sense of scale, with terrain extending in multiple directions from the base area rather than feeling like a single face mountain. The resort sits about 45 kilometers west of Sapporo in Hokkaido, positioned perfectly to capture those massive snow systems rolling in from the Sea of Japan. The annual snowfall figure of over 17 meters becomes obvious when you see the snow-based depth. During my visit following that 25 centimeter overnight dump, you could see why this place has built its reputation around powder quality rather than resort size. What separates Kiroro from other Hokkaido destinations is how they've approached off-piste access. They've moved away from the very conservative tree skiing policies you find at many Japanese resorts, and now allow regulated off-piste skiing within marked boundaries. After experiencing this system firsthand, it strikes the right balance between powder access and safety management. The resort spreads across twin mountains, Asari and Nagamine, with 23 courses, though different sources cite varying numbers. What matters more is how the terrain actually skis. The official breakdown lists begin at 38%, intermediate 29%, and advanced 33%. But these percentages don't capture the full story when you factor in the regulated off-piste areas. The terrain flows together more naturally than many resorts where zones feel completely separated. The center of the resort areas handle most of the beginner traffic with logical progression slopes, while Asari Mountain contains the steepest marked runs. The real character of Kiroro emerges once you register for off-piste access and explore the tree zones that aren't reflected in those basic percentages. During my visit, I spent the morning getting familiar with the groomed terrain before focusing on the tree areas. The powder accumulation in these off-piste zones was remarkable, deep enough that you'd sink completely when stopping, but the tree spacing and natural fall lines created perfect riding corridors. Beginners get close to 40% of the marked terrain, and it's well designed for learning progression. The longest run stretches 4 kilometers, providing that satisfying top-to-bottom experience that builds confidence. During my morning laps, I watched ski school groups making steady progress on wide, consistent slopes, without surprise, steep sections, or awkward flat spots. The beginner areas connect logically to the lift system. No intimidating chairlift approaches or long traverses that can overwhelm new skiers. Kids under 5 ski free when accompanied by guardians, which adds genuine family value. The terrain progression feels natural, allowing beginners to gradually tackle more challenging slopes as their skills develop. What stood out was how the beginner zones stayed relatively uncrowded even during my powder day visit, when advanced skiers were hunting fresh tracks elsewhere. The atmosphere remained calm and supportive, which is exactly what learning skiers need. Intermediate skiers will find Kiroro well suited to progression needs, though the resort's real strength lies in helping intermediates transition to powder skiing. The marked intermediate terrain provides solid mileage with good grooming and logical connections between zones. Those 4-kilometre runs, whilst beginner in nature, offer genuine leg-burning descents where you can really open up your skiing. Kiroro excels for intermediates is in the powder transition areas. There are specific ungroomed zones designated for powder practice, creating perfect stepping stones between groomed runs and the deeper off-piste terrain. During my visit, I watched intermediate skiers work on gaining confidence in these areas before attempting the tree zones. Moguls can be found around the resort, however I didn't find them as I was focused on powder. For intermediates wanting to progress their all-mountain skills, these areas provide solid training grounds for more advanced terrain challenges. Now, here's where things get interesting. The marked advanced terrain won't challenge strong skiers much. Even the steepest Asari courses at 37 degrees are manageable by most advanced standards. If you're looking for challenging groomed runs, you'll be disappointed. But if you're comfortable in trees, this is where Kiroro transforms completely. The regulated tree skiing areas became my main focus during the visit, and they lived up to the reputation. There are many restricted tree skiing zones, as they likely bottom out to creeks, etc., but on the trail map there are many tree zones which are not shaded, and these are all open. The tree spacing is perfect, the fall lines are natural, and the powder quality in these areas was world class. These tree runs rank among the best I've experienced anywhere. And I've skied trees from Japan to Utah to the European Alps. The combination of proper spacing, natural terrain features, and that famous Japanese powder creates conditions that are hard to find elsewhere. The regulated system means you get backcountry quality terrain with resort level safety protocols. Remember to familiarize yourself with the trail map so you don't end up in a prohibited tree zone. The 25 centimeter overnight dump provided perfect conditions to assess Kiroro's snow reputation firsthand. The powder quality was everything you'd expect from Hokkaido, light, dry, and deep enough to provide that floating sensation Japanese skiing is famous for. The resort averages a 5-meter base at the top gondola station, and you could feel this depth advantage throughout the mountain. Kiroro's season typically runs from late November through early May, one of the longer seasons in Japan thanks to elevation and snow accumulation. The best powder conditions hit between January and early March, when those consistent storm systems from the Sea of Japan really get going. If you're chasing that famous Japanese powder, this is your window. I visited in early March and caught the tail end of the prime powder season. The storm cleared by mid-morning during my visit, showcasing what this resort looks like when the storm clouds lift. The contrast between the deep powder runs and touch of sunshine created that perfect Japanese ski day combination. The valley location seems to trap and preserve snow effectively, with wind protection that keeps powder from being blown away. Having skied coastal resorts elsewhere, I was curious whether Kiroro's proximity to the Sea of Japan would affect snow quality, but during my experience, the powder was every bit as dry as you'd expect from Hokkaido. Right, quick break from the video. I need to tell you about something we've just launched that honestly should have existed years ago. How many times have you arrived at a resort and realized you've forgotten your goggles, or your phone charger, or that one crucial layer that would have made the difference between a good day and a great day on the mountain? Yeah, me too. Every bloody trip. So we've built something at Snowstash to fix this, and a bunch of other planning headaches that come with ski trips. You can now sign up for a free Snowstash account, and here's what that gets you. First, a proper packing checklist that you can customize and save. No more standing in a rental shop at 8 a.m, wondering if your boots are back in the accommodation or actually in the car. Second, trip planning tools. Create your itineraries, save your accommodation details, easily access resort webcams and our resort snow reports, all in one place instead of scattered across your phone's notes app and random bits of paper. Third, our weekly newsletter, which keeps you up to date on the latest snow news all year round. Plus, you can favourite the resorts you've loved or build a wish list of places you want to visit. Because, let's face it, half the fun of skiing is planning the next trip while you're still on the current one. Look, it's free, it takes about 30 seconds to sign up, and we're constantly adding features based on what actual skiers and riders tell us they need. The link's in the description, or just head to snowstash.com and click the sign up button. We're hoping this becomes your go-to partner for the entire ski season. Right, back to the video. Thanks for watching. Ciao. Kiroro operates 10 lifts total. 1 gondola, multiple express quad chairs, 1 express double chair, and standard double lifts. During my visit, this infrastructure distributed crowds efficiently, with the longest lift queue being about 8 minutes at the gondola during the morning powder rush. The lift system includes several modern features, particularly those express quad chairs with weather protection bubbles that make a real difference during Hokkaido's harsh conditions. In the back part of the resort, you can find an express double chair with hoods. This was actually my first time experiencing an express double chair with protective covers. Clearly, functionality takes priority over pure speed, and it works well in practice. Most lifts include weather protection, which proves essential during storms. The system serves the terrain efficiently without creating bottlenecks, and lift operations continue during weather that would shut down many resorts, crucial for maximizing powder opportunities when conditions allow. A full-day adult lift ticket costs 6,600 yen, approximately 66 Australian dollars at current exchange rates, which I paid on the day. Same-day pricing matches advance booking. No premium for spontaneous visits. The resort operates with electronic lift passes, which this system streamlines lift access throughout the day. I needed to rent a powder board, since I'd left my powder set up in Australia, not expecting any powder snow in March. I paid 5,000 yen for the day, which is about 50 Australian dollars, and the quality was solid with properly maintained equipment. The rental process was efficient with English-speaking staff, making everything straightforward for international visitors. The 90-minute drive from Sapporo requires carrying cash for tollway payments between Sapporo and Otaru, as electronic payment isn't consistently available. Remember, if driving from Sapporo, you need cash for the way there and back. The drive through snow-covered Hokkaido mountains is remarkable, worth the journey just for the scenery. The Akaigawa restaurant in the base area became my lunch stop, and it exceeded expectations for both quality and value. The local pork dishes were excellent, with portions generous enough to fuel a full powder day. Prices felt reasonable by ski resort standards, significantly cheaper than equivalent dining at Australian or North American mountains. The mountain centre offers Belgian waffles and Belgian beers alongside hot pizzas and local Akaigawa pork dishes. The Belgian beer was an unexpected touch that worked perfectly after a day in deep powder. Base facilities include everything you need without feeling overly commercialised. All staff I encountered spoke English and maintained those famously polite Japanese standards, something that makes riding in Japan a ton more enjoyable. Most visitors stay in Sapporo and make the drive, which I'd recommend for the flexibility it provides. The resort offers 2 main hotel options, with both properties being run by Club Med, but staying in Sapporo gives you restaurant variety and nightlife access that justify the commute. The city offers everything from budget options to luxury properties, plus easy access to other Hokkaido resorts. Kiroro sits about 70 minutes from central Sapporo and 45 minutes from Otaru. The roads are well maintained, but winter driving conditions require appropriate preparation. The resort's location also makes it accessible from Niseko, about 1 hour, creating possibilities for multi-resort trips across Hokkaido. Public transport options exist with buses from Sapporo, though having a car provides more flexibility for exploring the region and makes the toll road journey more manageable with cash payments. Kiroro provides enough terrain for several days of exploration, particularly when you factor in the available tree areas. The resort isn't massive, you could cover the marked terrain in a couple of days, but the combination of groomed runs and regulated tree skiing creates more variety than the basic statistics suggest. For families, Kiroro offers an ideal balance of terrain options and manageable size. The resort avoids overwhelming scale while providing genuine mountain experience. The regulated tree system also provides a perfect introduction to powder skiing for those ready to progress beyond groomed runs. The tree riding alone justifies the trip for advanced riders. The combination of perfect tree spacing, consistent fall lines, and that famous Hokkaido powder creates conditions that are difficult to replicate elsewhere. When you add lift access and regulated safety, it becomes an almost perfect powder skiing setup. Kiroro works particularly well if you want accessible Hokkaido powder with serious tree skiing access, but without the international circus of Niseko. The resort excels at providing genuine powder experiences without backcountry complexity or major resort crowds. Those regulated tree runs alone make the trip worthwhile. Some of the best lift access powder skiing you'll find anywhere. The resort suits intermediate to advanced riders ready for powder progression, families wanting manageable terrain variety, and anyone seeking quality Japanese snow without destination resort crowds and costs. While pure experts might find the marked terrain limiting, the off-piste opportunities provide genuine challenge and excitement. For a Hokkaido ski trip, I'd include Kiroro as either a day trip from Sapporo or as part of broader regional exploration. The combination of snow quality, tree access, reasonable pricing, and proximity to Japan's fifth largest city creates compelling value. Whether you're new to Japanese powder or an experienced rider seeking alternatives to busier resorts, Kiroro merits consideration. Just remember to be aware of the prohibited trees, carry cash for the toll roads, and prepare for some genuinely good tree riding. It's big enough for a few days of exploration, but works perfectly as part of a larger Hokkaido adventure. Thanks for watching. Ciao.